In other words, mitzad, the wine of Pnimiyas HaTorah, it wouldn't be able to reach every single person. Because not every single person is on a level is really able to take the wine of Pnimiyas HaTorah. But Dafke mitzad rosin di rosin. Dafke, that Rebbe took the oil of Pnimiyas HaTorah and he poured it out. That came out in a way that's able to reach every single person. Every single person could take it in. It should affect it. L'chaim, l'chaim. This is the beginning of Shir Hashirim, the first two psukim. The first pasuk is Shir Hashirim Asher L'Shloimeh Yishakeinim in Shikis Piu Ki Tovim Deidecha Miyoyin. Ki Tovim Deidecha Miyoyin means your Av. Ki Tovim Deidecha Miyoyin. There's the Avas Hashem, the Ave between Yidden and the Eibishter, that comes from Yayin, it comes from wine. The wine brings out the Ave, the Yayin of Torah, the Yayin of Primis HaTorah, the wine brings out the Ave between Eibishter and Yidden. Then the pasuk continues. L'reyach shmonecha tovim, there's the smell of your good oils. Shem and Turak Shmecha, you empty out the oil of your name. Al Kein Alomis Aivucha. Therefore, the Alomos, the Nairos, they love you. The Rabbi's place in the Torah, what's the even Alma? Alma means it's just closed up. That the Av is closed up. He can't, the person's in the Madrege, that he can't bring out this Av that he has to the Eibishter. We know every Yid has an Ava Mesoteres. No matter what, every Yid has that Ava in him. But you can't bring it out. So, L'reach shmonecha tevim, you have the smell of this oil, Shem and Turak Shmecha, you empty out the oil, Al Kena Alomis Aivucha, this is able to be pale. Even what the Yayin can't be pale, the Reach of the Shem could be pale. This is one of the Inyan of Yutas Kislev. Before Yutas Kislev, it wasn't shaykh that every single person should be able to learn and understand the emes, Pnimius HaTorah. Not everyone could. You had to be on a certain dargah. Now, the Rebbe poured out the oil, poured out the rosin, the eraisa, and this made it possible that every single person, no matter what his level is able to learn and understand Pnimius HaTorah. And this brings out this kasha by every single Yid between him and the Eibishter, the Av. Yutis Kislev is also the Hilula of the Mezikshir Magid, the Rebbe of the Alter Rebbe. We know that Yutis Kislev, the day the Mezikshir Magid was nostalgic, he took the hand of the Alter Rebbe and he said, today is our Hilula. He was referring that it was the passing of the Stalkos of the Mezikshir Magid, and later Yutis Kislev, the day the Alter Rebbe went out of prison. I'll tell you a story of Mezikshir Magid. This is a story of Mezikshir Magid with his son, Rabbi Avram the Malach. Avram the Malach was the son of Mezikshir Magid. It was a very, very heilig Yid. There's also a shaykhus, special shaykhus to Yutas Kislev, because when the Alter Rebbe came to the Mezikshir Magid, he set up a chavrusa between the Alter Rebbe and Avram the Malach. Avram the Malach learned with the Alter Rebbe the Nister the Torah, the hidden part of Torah, and the Alter Rebbe learned from the Malach Nigel the Torah. It was the Chavrusa, went on for a lot of stories in this Chavrusa. This is a story that took place when Rabbi Avram the Malach was still a little kid, the little Ingela, and he played with his friend. He played hide and seek. Hide and seek. How does hide and seek go? One guy hides, and the other guy tries to find him, and the other guy hides, the other guy tries to find him. So Avram the Malach was playing with his friend hide and seek. In the middle of the game, he comes crying to Mezitcher Magid. What is? He's hiding for a long time until he realizes that the friend he's playing with is not even looking for him. He abandoned him. He's crying, he's hiding, and no one's looking for him. So the Mezitcher Magid said to his son, I don't remember the Lashon, the exact Lashon, but the Teichon was, the Eibishter is hiding in this world, and he wants us to look for him. Are we looking for him? In other words, the Eibishter is here. The Eibishter put himself, the Eibishter is hiding, and he wants us to search. He wants us to bring out the special connection, the ave that there is between Knesset Yisrael, between Yidden and the Eibishter. And for that you need Pnimiyus HaTorah. Because Pnimiyus HaTorah brings out the hidden part of the neshama, the ave that the neshama has, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So l'chaim, the Eibush is a help. We should take a zeicha to take it, learn Pnimiyus HaTorah, take proper achotos tevis, to learn it properly, internalize it. L'chaim, l'chaim.
It's known the Shitta of the Rambam about Mashiach, that when Mashiach will come, it's going to be Eilam ki min hogi neik. The world is going to be the way the world is behaving, so to say. The way the world is going on in the way of Teva, that's how it's going to be when Mashiach will come. Al Yala, Al Daitches, don't think that, how do you know who's Mashiach? That he's going to make Isis Umayfsi, going to make miracles, going to change the way the world is running. Nein. Yamin Melech Miz David. He's going to be Isaac and Hegeb Terek and David Aviv. The world is going to go on. What's going to change in the world when Mashiach will come, according to the Rambam? What's going to change in the world? What's going to be different in the world when Mashiach will come than it's now? If the Eilam Ki Min Hagi Neik, if the world is continuing the way it is according to Teva, what's going to change? What's going to change is that the world will know Hashem. Even especially, Yasigu Das Beirom, they're going to understand the Das of the Beirei. They're going to be Asik in Das Hashem. And that's what's going to be. It's going to be the world is going to recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The world is going to recognize Hashem, and every person, every Nivir will have Das as Hashem. We'll have knowledge in Hashem. Knowledge about the Eibishter. This is what's going to change in the world is the attitude. Everyone is going to recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everyone's going to have Das and HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the extent a person could have. And that's what's going to change. And therefore, in that Be'esi Azman, there'll be no milchome, there'll be no war, there'll be no jealousy, there'll be no competition, there'll be sholem, because everyone's going to recognize the Eibishter. The only reason that now there's war and there's competition and all these fights is because people don't recognize the Eibishter. Mashiach will come, everyone's going to recognize the Eibishter. In other words, what's going to change is the attitude of people. The attitude of the Nivra, that all the Nivroim, all the creations will recognize the Eibishter. What's the Achon? We know that the Gilui Teres Achsidus, the revelation of Teres Achsidus, or Das es Hashem, this paves the way for the coming of Mashiach. That through Teres Achsidus, we all could be Asik, or Das Hashem, we could have a certain Yediyah towards the Eibishter. In other words, our Das has to change. Our mind, the way our mind works, needs to change. And that changes through Chassidus. We learn Chassidus, we change our mind, we change the way we look at things. We change the way we look at the world. We be the same person. Everything's the same. But it's changed. He looks on it different. He sees the Yad Hashem, he sees the Nisim, he recognizes the Eibishter. The Alter Rebbe established Chassidus Chabad. One of the inyonim in Chassidus Chabad is that you have to recognize it. You have to realize it. You have to understand it. It needs to be you. You realize it. It's in your das. It's in your chokhmah, bina, das. You have a das in it. You have a das as Hashem. Which this is the achona for Bias HaMashiach, that the whole world will be mole das as Hashem. L'chaim, l'chaim. Chaim. There is a Gemara. Gemara says on the pasuk, "Ki tevim dedecha miyoyin." Gemara says the dedecha is the Yidden, the ones who love Hashem. Tevim dedecha, the words of dedecha. The words of dedecha is the words of the Rabbanon. The Rabbanon, the Yidden, the Rabbanon. We know there's the Iraisa, and there's the Rabbanon. The Iraisa is the Torah itself, and then there is the Rabbanon. The Rabbanon is the Dedecha. Divrei Dedecha. Says the Gemara, Arevim olai divrei soifrim yoiser miyenu shel Torah. It's Arevim on me. It's Geschmack on me. Divrei soifrim, the words of the Rabbanon, more than yenu shel Torah, more than the wine of Torah. There's something in the Rabbanon, in the Takonis of the Rabbanon, that have that ability to open up in every single Yid the Ava that they have to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to open up that connection they have with the Eibishter. That's Kitoivim Dedecha Miyoyin. There's Yenu Shel Torah, there's the Eraisa. And then what the Rabbanon were Mesak and the Takonis, the Rabbanon, wherever the Rabbanon was established, that had that special kayach to open up the connection he has with the Eibishter. The Arevim Olai Divrei Sefer. We started learning today the Tanya Michodesh. We started learning again Tanya. Alter Rebbe writes in the Sharblat of Tanya that is Melukit Mipis Sforim Umipis Seifrim. He gathered the Alter Rebbe with a tremendous honor, tremendous hanivus. Alter Rebbe composed the Tanya in a way that Ki'ilu is there's no him, there's no his chidush, there's no his accomplishment. He's just a malaket. He's gathering, Mipisvorim, Mipisefrim. He's not saying his own chidush. He's gathering. Ad kedei kach, that the Alter Rebbe didn't put, when he published the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe didn't put his name. He didn't put his name. If you look on the Tanya, you don't have the Alter Rebbe's name. That's his malaket. It's not even the mechaber. It's the malaket the Tanya. He's gathering the words of the Tanya. And where is he gathering it from? It's from the Svarim and from the Seifrim. Svarim is Mekubal, the Shalom, the Maral. And the Seifrim is the Baal Shem Tov and the Mezritch Magid. That's the Seifrim. It's the Yifan Arevim Olai Divrei Seifrim. The Rabbeim, Rabbi Seinu, Nisienu, is Arevim Olai. That's the words of the Rabbeim, the words of Chassidus. It's able to get into the neshama of the Yid and open up the Yid. Open up his neshama, open up the Ava. That's the special kayach that there is in the Divrei Seifrim of the Rabbeim. The special kayach in the Shem and the Pnimiyus HaTorah. Now it's also known that the Rebbe Rashab said that the Iker, Yofutsu Meinesecho Chutzo, the main of the Yofutsu Meinesecho Chutzo started after Yitzchak Kislev. What's Yofutsu? Everyone knows Yofutsu Meinesecho Chutzo, that the Baal Shem Tov went to Heichel HaMashiach. Baal Shem Tov met Mashiach Tzidkein. And they asked Mashiach, Emosai Kosi Mag. When are you coming? Mashiach has to come already. When are you coming? So the Mashiach answered to the Baal Shem Tov, when your well springs will spread to the outside. That's how I'm coming. The Rabbi explains many times in length. We know that Mayim makes a tahara. Mayim makes purity, right? You know, you go to the mikveh. Mayim makes tahara. But the way Mayim makes tahara, there's two levels. There's a regular mikveh, a way of rainwater. Then there is a mayon of Mayim Chayim. It's a wellspring of live water. The mayon is the source who comes out live water. The mayon Mayim Chayim has an unbelievable more of a koyach to make tahara. You have a certain tmeim, certain people that are tomei, that a regular mikveh won't work. They need the living water of a mayim. They need the living water. The same thing by Pora Aduma. You make the ashes of the Pora Aduma. You need mayim chayim. It's not enough that there's water coming to the chut, there's water of Pnimiyas HaTorah. You need the mayon, you need the wellspring itself, the moker, the Pnimiyas of the Pnimiyas HaTorah, the rosin, the Reise, to come out to the chut. The regular Pnimiyas HaTorah is not enough. You need rosin, the secrets of the secrets, the Pnimiyas of the Pnimiyas. That should come out in the chut. When your mayon will come out to the chutzah, the mayon itself, the source of the mayon itself, will come out to the chutzah. And when did that occur? That occurred after Yitis Kislev. Why did it occur after Yitis Kislev? The Rabbi used to quote very often the word, the Piskim, the word of the Rabbi Rashab, as Ba'em Leiksich. Ba'em Leiksich. You know Ba'em Leiksich mean? How do you say Leiksich in English? His mind understands so, even though he doesn't have a source. His mind accepts that that's how it is. As the Ikir Yavutza Manisecho Chutza, the main Yavutza Manisecho Chutza started after Yitis Kislev. What's the husband he gave? The famous Maimon Hazal. Ma'azayis Hazeh, Kisheketshi Neisei, Meitzi Shamne. I'm an olive. You want the olive to give out its oil. How does the olive get its oil? You got to crush it. And only when you crush it, the oil comes out. The Rebbe sat in prison 53 days. It was a big Yisurim, a big pain for the Alter Rebbe. That was the Keitshi Neisei. It was Meitzi Shamne. This brought out the Shem and the Pnimiyas HaTorah. This brought out the Rosin, the Reise, the Ma'inisecho. And that made it possible that Pnimiyas HaTorah could come out in a way that it could reach every single Yid, no matter his level, no matter where he is, it could reach every single Yid. The Mayon itself, the Shemin of Pnimiyas HaTorah, could reach every single Yid. No matter how far he is, no matter his level, to him could reach the Shemin of Pnimiyas HaTorah. Remember, it was Aleph Nissen, Tovshim and Beis. It was Shnash Hashmeinu. The Rebbe turned 80. It was some 70 Farbrengen, Aleph Nissen. The Farbrengen was a long Farbrengen. I think it went till 3 in the morning. By the end of the Farbrengen, the Rebbe made a surprise that he's going to give out Tanya. He himself is going to distribute Tanya to every single person. But this was a special Tanya. The Tanya had in the back, I had a copy of the Sharblat, the front page of every place where the Tanya was printed. The thick Tanya, where every place in Tanya is printed. One of the points was to show how the Mayan of Chassidus, the Mayan, the Mokar of Chassidus, Tanya is printed in every single place. It's not only you're bringing Chassidus everywhere. You're bringing the Mayan, you're bringing the source, you're printing the Tanya in every single place. The Rebbe could have made, to go to New York, print thousands and thousands of Tanyas, and distribute the Tanyas to the whole world. It's easier, it's cheaper, no. You print the Tanya, and you put on the Sharblat, you put on the page of Tanya where the Tanya is printed. You're bringing the Mayan in Chutz. Here became a mocker, became a source, became a wellspring of Pnimius HaTorah. And this was so precious by the Rebbe that he printed a Tanya with they had in the Tanya the copy of all the Sharblats of everywhere where Tanya was printed. And the Rebbe sat for a couple of hours giving out himself, B'yodi Akdesh, giving out the Tanya. I remember, I was then a kid, and it was the beginning with a terrible, very, very pushy. And I was almost not too far. It was so pushy. To my mazel, the Rebbe got very upset. He's going to stop giving out the Tanyas. He's not going to stop pushing. I'm a little kid. I don't want to be caused the Rebbe. I must never chaz v'sholem. I just backed myself out. I don't want to push. We had the bus going back to Montreal. So this is already 4 or 5 in the morning. And I said, you know what? I tried to get a Tanya. Okay. If I made the Rebbe easier, it's fine for me. I'm on the bus sitting next to one of my chaverim. My chaver tells me, no, you can't go back to Montreal to get me back to Tanya. You got to go get the Tanya. So I went back. The time I came was so late, but the Rebbe was giving out the Tanya. He was very supporting. With one arm, he was supporting the other hand. That's how I got my Tanya. And I remember 2 years later, I think it was Tavshim and Daled, the Rebbe made a new edition. Because since then, it was 2 years, they printed more Tanyas. They printed again with the Shabbats of the other places it was printed. This time, instead of the Rebbe giving out himself, he made the Chavri Akelel to be Shluchim to give out the Tanya. But the point is that the Mayones, Achsidis, Kom, Chutz, the Mayon itself, the wellspring itself, the shaman of Torah, this has the Keyach to come everywhere. But then, we got to taste it. We got to sniff it. We got to take it in. The Keyach is there. The Keyach is there. But then we got to take it in. You could explain maybe the difference of the Yayin and Shemen. You have Yayin. Yayin is Geschmack. You see, it tastes good, it affects you. It's Yayin HaMesameach, it makes you happy. And sometimes you learn Chassidus, it's Geschmack, and you really get it, and you feel how it's affecting you. It's a gate. Then sometimes you sit down by the Sefer Chassidus, you're not really getting it. You're not really understanding it. And it's hard to have a cheshik. But you got to know that that's the Shemin of Pnimius HaTorah. That's the Mayan. It will be metired. It will make the connection. Because the Keyach is there. So even though you don't have the Yayin necessarily, there's not as Geschmack. How you say Geschmack in English? Pleasure, I know it's a common lotion by Bocherim. You want to measure a successful Farbrengen, you say, was it a Geschmack of Farbrengen? Was it Geschmack? By a Shir, was it a Geschmack of Shir? Was it a Geschmack of Maimer? A lot of things are measured by Geschmack, and if it's not so Geschmack, this is a problem. But not always are we meriting to feel the Geschmack. Not always. Geschmack is good, it's not always there. But no matter what, when you sit down and you learn the Divrei Sofrim, the words of the Rabbi, that's the Shem, the Pnimi Satera, there is that keach over there to get into you and get into any yid and open up the neshama. L'chaim, l'chaim. Erste Mal öffnen wir schon. Erstmal weiß ich. know that it is Kislev. It comes in very close to Chanukah. The Rebbe would speak a lot, the connection. It's Kislev and Chanukah. As a matter of fact, you see in a lot of the volumes of the Kutesichas that they have in the Hisofis, the editions, in back of the Sichas, they have letters of the Rebbe divided according to the times of the year, according to the Parshiyas. So they have a section for Yutis Kislev, there's a section for Chanukah, and there's a section for Yutis Kislev and Chanukah together, because Yutis Kislev and Chanukah is very connected. One of the connections, see, by Chanukah also, it's connected with Shem, oil. And that's happened with the oil. This is the Yevonim. The Yevonim, they came into the Heichel, the time of the Heichel. It says, Timu kol hashmonim shebeheichel. They came into the Heichel, and they unpured all the oil that was in the Heichel. In other words, there was the Yevonim, especially Indian, besides that they were makriv on the Mizbeach, Rabbi the Zorah, and the other things they did, it was especially in them that they were metame the oil, the metame the Shem. Why the metame the Shem? Explain that the Chemes HaYevonim, what did the Yevonim want? The Milchom of the Yevonim and the Yidden was a Ruchnis Diki Milchom. It wasn't a Gashmis.
Look at this. Yeah.
It was a Ruchnis Diki Milchom. A Ruchnis Diki Milchom. It's known the Dik Chassidus. You say in the Al Anisim, you say, La shkichom terosecha, ula aviro michuki ritzinecha. They wanted to make the Yidden forget your Torah, and they wanted to take away the Yidden from the chuki ritzinecha. Yidua, Chassidus is medayik. They didn't want to make the Yidden stop learning Torah. Zom learning Torah. Should learn Torah. But la shkichom terosecha, to make to forget that it's Hashem's Torah. That we're learning Torah, this is the Eibish's Torah, it's not Stam HaChochma. So they were masking to learn Torah inside the Seichel HaTorah, the intellect of Torah. It's a very interesting intellect, very deep intellect. But not to learn Torah, that's Torah Secho. It's your Torah. It's the Eibish's Torah. They wanted to make the Yidden stop doing mitzvahs. What kind of mitzvahs? Yeah, you want to do mitzvahs because it makes sense and it's nice and it's pleasant, fine. But who get it to do the mitzvahs because this is what the Eibishter wants? This they wanted to stop. They wanted the Yidden to join their culture. The big culture, the Greek culture at that time, was a very big culture. Big philosophy, the Greek philosophy. The Gashmis was stronger than the Ruchnius. And they wanted that the Jews, the Yidden, should join their culture. So they came to the Yidden and said, we're good friends with you. We're friends with you. Come join us. Continue Torah, continue mitzvahs, but take away that Kiddush. The Rebbe would say often about the Beis HaMikdash. You had the other Seini Yisrael, they came to the Beis HaMikdash, they destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. They burned the Beis HaMikdash. The Yevonim didn't destroy the Beis HaMikdash. They didn't burn the Beis HaMikdash. No, the Beis HaMikdash should stay. The Mizbeach should stay. But we'll teach you how to use it. And Rachmona Litzlan, there was many Yidden that joined, that they got caught into this trap, which are called the Misyavnim. They got joined into the Greek philosophy. In other words, the Yevonim realized they wanted to take away the Kedusha of the Yidden. Timu kol hashmonim sheveichel. They were metame the shemen. That oil, that light of Kedusha, that's what they made tummy. You want to keep everything else, fine. but the shemen has to be tummy. Nochmer, they didn't take away the oil. They didn't pour out the oil. They made the oil tummy. They made the oil became tummy. It says that because Chassidus became, you say Lashon HaKodesh, it was nislapsha. It became clothed in. It became down in seichel, in intellect. It came down in seichel anushi, in human intellect, that you could learn and understand it. In other words, the emes, Chassidus is higher than seichel. It's Pnimius HaTorah, it's higher than seichel. Elomai, the Rabbi Madmesiris Nefesh, that Pnimius HaTorah should come down in seichel. It should come down in intellect. It should be able to be understood. Once it's able to be understood, then you have the danger that you're able to take it mitzad the seichel, mitzad the intellect. It's a beautiful intellect. It's deep intellect. It's exciting. It's a tremendous deep intellect. You could start taking the Chassidus of Pnimius HaTorah mitzad the seichel. It says like this. Sometimes you have people, they learn Chassidus, and they don't see it affecting them. They learn Chassidus, it doesn't affect them. Why it's not affecting them? So there's the Bavusta Teretz. You have three things that have an effect. Money makes crazy. You see, he has money, he's not crazy yet. Doesn't have enough money. More money. Mashke makes drunk. He took mashke, he's not drunk yet. He didn't have enough mashke. He'll take more, he'll get drunk. Chassidus macht edel. You don't see a Chassidus is pale yet. You need more Chassidus. That's the famous teretz. Learn more. But that is another word. Another word that when you're learning Chassidus, what are you learning for? You're learning for the seichel. It's not okay. Once you're learning Chassidus beside the seichel, beside the intellect of Chassidus. So you're ki'ilu distancing yourself from the godliness that's in the Chassidus. You're attaching yourself to the seichel. The famous Maimer Chazal, Eimer, Shmu Ezu Noeh, Shmu Ezu Eino Noeh. To the Gemara. Rei Yezenis Yevad Hein. Zoynoi says the Gemara, Zoynoi. He learns and he picks and chooses. He says, Zay Noeh, the Zay Eino Noeh. This is the Geschmack piece. This is not Geschmack. What happens? He's not a Caliph for Torah. Yevad Hein. He loses Hein or Shal Torah. Because he's showing that all it is his seichel. So Rachmanu Litzlan, even they have Chassidus, but once Chassidus is Slavish, it came down in seichel, in human intellect, in the regular seichel. So there's that danger that you're able to take the Chassidus beside the seichel of Chassidus. And that's the pshat. Timu kol hashmonim shebeichel. The time of the Shemin. What was the nest of Chanukah? They found Pach, Echod, Shemin, Toir, Chosum, Bechisom, Mishal Kein Godel. The Kein Godel, this is the Rebbe. This is the Divrei Sefer. This is the Rabbon. And that oil didn't get Tommy. We should strengthen our iskashas of the Rebbe. You can do what the Rebbe wants and bring down Chassidus, the Pil Mamish, L'chaim. I want to say something. I don't know if it's Eisgehalten. I don't know if this is the Pshat. Farbrengen, yesterday we made the Siyum and Sefer HaTanya. We learned the last period of Tanya, that period, Alter Rebbe says, the famous hero to make a Chalukas HaShas. Every city, every minyan should finish the Shas. Then Alter Rebbe says, if I remember correctly, that every one of the loimdim, everyone that's learning the Peil Chelik and Shas, should finish himself once a week. The Tamnaya Api should be safer to heal. Was it the Tamnaya Api? That's Kapitel Kufyutes. Peter Kufyutes for healing. Why is it called Tamnaya Api? Because the Kufyutes is every letter you have 8 psukim. 8 psukim Aleph, 8 psukim Beis. Alter Rebbe says every one of the lemnim of the Shas should finish once a week the Tamnaya Api, the Peter Kufyutes. And the Rebbe, in one place the Rebbe writes, I don't see that people do that. And the other place the Rebbe writes that some people do that, including his father, Rabbi Leivik, Shabbos after Mincha would say Peter Kufyutes. What's the pshat? What's the senior? You say Chalukas HaShas. Then you say you're learning the Chalukas HaShas. Make sure you're saying the once a week Peter Kufyutes. I don't know the emes of pshat. I think like this. Now we say every day Kapitel Kufyutes. You say Peter Kufyutes. If you say every day, you gotta think a little what you're saying. What's Peter Kufyutes? What's David HaMelech saying? David HaMelech is saying, I Eibishter, Kukecho and Edisecho and Terisecho and Mipatecho, your Torah is so great, it's so sweet, it's so good, it's better than anything, and everything in the world comes through Torah. Is mafli the Eibishter's mitzvahs and the Eibishter's Torah. Again, in this signal, that signal, you're learning Shas. You're learning Torah. And anyone that takes part in Chalukas HaShas is like you learn the whole Shas. It's making a Chaluk. You gotta know, you have to hear the tirekeit of Torah. You have to feel the tirekeit of Torah. A Torah is a tire. There is a famous Gemara. Gemara says, Al ma chorva oretz. Why was that Yisrael destroyed? Al sheliberchu b'atero tchilo. They didn't make birchas atero. Das heißt that they learned Torah, but they didn't make birchas atero. What's the big deal? Says the Bach. And they didn't appreciate Torah. They didn't recognize the the mile of Torah. They didn't recognize the specialty of Torah. Yeah, they learned it. You know, people learn different subjects, and they learn Torah also. There was a bocher here. He was from Sifte. Then he spent time in Cincinnati. When he was in Cincinnati, he spent time, sometimes he would go learn in the library, the library of Cincinnati. As he's learning, he's trying to look up Marim B'Kemis. He came this person to him who wasn't even wearing a yarmulke. He said, "Oh, what can I help you? You're looking for a ritva? You're looking for a rashba? Which tshuva?" The Reform Yid, he was all knowledgeable. He's learning Torah, Shas, Peskin. But it's missing the Beichu B'Torah Tchilu, the Teilkeit of Torah. This is true in Torah, in Nigel in the Torah, in Pnimius HaTorah. Amedav der Herren, the Teilkeit from Torah. The Teilkeit from Torah. He comes you to Kislev, part of it is Kislev, and the head, the Teilkeit from Pnimius HaTorah that was given to us. The shaila is, we have to show that we cherish it. The entire Zach, we cherish it, it's speaking to us, it means something to us. You know, you say, by learning Bichlal, you say, you learn, there has to be leid al menas lasses. Whatever you learn, you have to learn al menas lasses. What's going to come out the pay? You're learning Hilchos Shabbos. You're not just learning Hilchos Shabbos because it's a nice halacha to learn. You're learning Hilchos Shabbos how to keep Shabbos. So every time you sit down and learn Hilchos Shabbos, you have to know Amanas Lasses. How is this making you keep Shabbos more careful, to keep Shabbos better? It has to be Limud Amanas Lasses. Torah, the Eibishter giving us Torah to tell us what to do, how to do. So Limud Amanas Lasses. L'chaim, l'chaim. Just like in learning Nigla the Torah, with over a poshut, it's clear. There has to be limud al Nas lashes. You gotta learn with the intention to do. You're learning the Sech of Shabbos. You're learning how to keep Shabbos. Yeah, you learn whatever you learn the Sech of Brachas, you're learning how to do Brachas. Limud Amanas lashes. The whole Shiloh, someone learns Limud not is learning not in order to know what to do. He's not going to do what he's learning. Maybe it's better he shouldn't learn. Not so partial. You're learning what to do. The same thing in the learning of Pnimiyus Hater and learning of Siddur. There needs to be Limud Amanas lashes. You're learning. It's not just a good idea. It's not just nice. You're learning, and you have to be able to take from it. What is it teaching you? What is it telling you what to do? What is it changing you in your life? I don't have opportunity usually to speak. I don't know who's seeing it, where it's going to get to. But usually I have in my classroom a few bochrim, and we're learning. I don't have an opportunity to speak in a way that I don't know where it's going to get to. I still don't know what's going to get. I want to say something. I want to say like this. We have to bring Chassidus to our houses, to our families, to our children, to the bayis. You have to bring Chassidus into the houses. And I think one of the ways to bring Chassidus into the house is that the bayis have to see what is Chassidus changing Peil Mamash. What is it teaching you? What is it telling you in your day-to-day life? What does it make a difference? Today is a generation, the kids are growing up and they see everything, and everything is Peil Mamash. They see everything with their own eyes. They see what everything is, and they see it b'muchash. We gotta show the mishpacha what is Chassidus teach us, what is changing us, what is our life different. You say in your house by the Shabbos table or a supper, you say avoid Chassidus. What is the bechein? What is the outcome? What is it changing you? What is it telling you? They have to see how it changes you. They have to see how it's taking effect. And then you show them, you see, this is what Chassidus does. There's a story of Shmuel Munkis. Shmuel Munkis once, I don't know how athletic he was, but from this story you see he was pretty athletic. He jumped and turned himself over, and he was hanging in front of the wall, the fence in front of the Alter Rebbe, and he was hanging on his foot. Pretty athletic. They said, Shmuel, what are you doing? Well, you're hanging like that on your foot. Said, well, don't you understand? In the bakery, what hangs in a bakery? Hangs a bread, a cake. You go to a shoemaker, what hangs? Hangs a shoe. The Rebbe makes chassidus. It's the hang achos. You see what chassidus did? Chassidus made a chos. They made up Shmuel Munkis. You gotta show them mishpacha. You gotta show what is Chassidus telling you, what is Chassidus teaching you, what is Chassidus making a difference to you. It has to be Peil Mamash. I'll tell you like this. It was Tovshin Nale for Tovshin Beis, and the Rebbe gave out the Kuntris Eitzachai. He gave out Kuntris Eitzachai b'Yodei Agdesho, Noshim V'Tav. Then the Mugi Dikisicha, the week after, the Rebbe explained why did he give out the Kuntris Eitzachai. The Rebbe says this. In its time, B'Shaiti, in its time, when the Rebbe Rashab gave out the Kuntris Eitzachai. Why did he give out the Kuntris Eitzachai? You know, everyone knows. To me, even know that 4 countries the Rebbe Rashab published, right? Kuntris Eitzachayim, Kuntris Mayon, Kuntris Atfila, Kuntris Aved, 4 countries. What did he publish Kuntris Eitzachayim? The Rebbe Rashab was miyase the yeshivas teim chitmim. And in yeshivas teim chitmim, there was a very starke seder nigla, and there was a starke seder chassidus. And the nigla was echt stark. It was so stark that there was a lot of bochim that were drawn to yeshivas teim chitmim in Lubavitch because of its limud hanigla. And they became an element of bochim yeshivas teim chitmim in Lubavitch that were in ganzen in the nigla. They didn't care about chassidus. They pushed in ganzen in the nigla. The nigla in Lubavitch was right up to Lubavitch. What happened? You have an element of bochim that ganze verkocht in nigla not in chassidus. It took down the koch of Pnimis HaTorah. You could be a Tomim, you could be a Lubavitch, you don't have to live in chassidus. You live in nigla. The Rebbe Rashab read a Kuntres Achai and said, that's not okay. I made the yeshiva that there has to be a koch and live in Pnimis HaTorah. You want to be here, you have to koch in chassidus. You can't be here if you're not in koch in chassidus. And he made very strict rules. The Rebbe Rashab was very strict. Very, very strict rules that we wake up in the morning, you can only in chassidus. It doesn't make how early you wake up, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you only in chassidus. And at night, after you learn that 2 hours, I think, 2 hours, I think, chassidus, then you could add a nigla. He made very strict. Torah sagudosenu. I made tichet mimim. There has to be the koch limit of chassidus. So the Rabbi said, I gave out the Kuntres Achayim to tell everyone that what chassidus want, or chassidus wants from a person, didn't change. It's applicable now, just like before. Das heißt, that for them chassidus, and the chassidus has to teach us in our day-to-day life. The middle is azay. Mitzad echad, in today's world, it's very dark. It's dark. It's cheshchas hagolus. It's dark. We know, just like by a lila, a night and a day, that towards the end of the night, before the alis hashachar, before the morning light comes up, is the darkest. Is the darkest. Then the chaos comes in the Eir Hayim. Before the Eir of Mashiach, is the Cheshach HaGolus, is the Eir stark. And you need Pnimis HaTorah, you need Chassidus, the Zen Elokus, the Zen Getlichkeit, even in the Cheshach. You know, you say every morning, you Birchas HaShach, you say a bracha, Anese lasech vivina, lahavche beyem veloil. The Eibishter gives a sech v'aruster, bina, to tell the difference, lahavche beyem veloil. And what's the special bina that the Eibishter gave a sech? Who doesn't know the difference between day and night? Any person, any animal. The animal also know the difference of Laila and Yeh. The Sechvi has a special being. You know, it says in Chassidus, it says like this. When the day comes, it doesn't come all of a sudden, the sun comes up. First, is the Alis HaShachar, is the morning light. The morning light comes up more and more till Netzach Chama.
We'll figure out tonight. It's probably good for
All right.
Because it's lighter and lighter. When Aleis HaShachar starts, the Ayelos HaShachar. When Amud HaShachar starts, it's a little light. A drop of light is coming in. A drop of light coming in. Let's be clear, the Lila. You know, if you ever up Shavuos in the morning, Amud HaShachar, you go to the mikveh, and it says in the calendar, it's already Aleis HaShachar. And you look in the sky, it's Aleis HaShachar. It's still night. But if you look carefully, you see there's a little light coming up. And they still a sech vivino. The Eibishter gave the sech the bina right when the Eir Hayim starts coming. A bissel Eir Hayim. In the sech notices it. And it starts saying kukurek. The Chassidus is Megala, the air of Mashiach in the world. It's the beginning. It's Netzitzuz. It starts sparking. The Cheshach Ichas Ha'oretz V'Arofel U'umim. Through Chassidus, through Shem and Haftarah, we're able to see the Yad Hashem. L'chaim, l'chaim. Chaim. Can't lose focus. You can't lose focus The Eibishter made the world in a way that the world is misnaig, the world behaves in the way of Tev. The world behaves in the way of nature. And everything seems to be covered up in this Levush of Teva. The Teva, the nature of things, cover up under Lukus. The embassy is that everything is the Eibishter, and the Eibishter is everything. And there's nothing besides the Eibishter. And everything that's happening in the world is Ashgocha Protis. Ashgocha Protis is the pshat that every little prat is taken care of by the Eibishter himself. Every little detail that a person goes through, every single little detail. What's the moshel? What's the example that Rabbi give? You have a leaf. You know, you have the fall. The fall is a lot of leaves. You have a leaf turning. That leaf that's turning, why is that leaf turning? Ashgocha Protis. You would think it's the fall, it's windy, there's a lot of leaves fell off the tree, the wind is blowing and the leaves are turning. Every single leaf that's turning, which way, when it's turning, is Ashgocha Protis. There's no such a thing happening because it's happening, that's the Teva. Everything is happening from the Eibishter. But the Teva of the world covers over on it. It seems like, why did it happen? That's the Teva. The embassy is that the world is realizing now, I think, is a Yad Hashem. I remember not from 45 years ago. I remember when Corona started. All of a sudden, everyone I was speaking to, I don't mean Dafke, Frume people, anyone, there's a Yad Hashem. All of a sudden, if a little virus came, it's driving the whole world crazy. There's a Yad Hashem, there's an Eibishter. Everyone was realizing there's a Yad Hashem that's taking care of it, that's making it happen. For whatever reason it is that we don't know. But everything is happening from the Eibishter. And that's Be'em is the only way to go through life. A person goes through life, he goes through Elam Hazeh, he goes through different Yonim. Everyone is there in Yonim. If a person, Chaz v'Sholem, doesn't realize it's Yad Hashem, you can't go through it. You have to realize that Sa'al Tzaloku, Sa'al the Eibishter. The Eibishter is taking care of you and is looking after you. And every single detail that you're going through, it does Hazeh b'chokhmoseh yisborech Hazeh fil der Eibishter. What is Ashgocha Protis? Every single detail is Ashgocha Protis. Nothing is happening because this is happening. This does us. And this is something I don't think a person can realize without really learning Chassidus. That every single prat and every single thing that's happening to him, this is Yad Hashem. Nothing is happening on its own. That every single prat, this is Dafka learning Chassidus. You know, I remember by the Rabbi used to quote very often by the Farbrengen. The Baal Shem Tov said, "Jeder Zach was Said zet oder hört, vernehmen Ayron Avedas Hashem." In English, it means everything he sees or hears, he has to take a lesson of Avedas Hashem. The Rabbi used to say it always. Is it literally everything a person sees or hears? As to take it all, Avedas Hashem. Is it a little overdoing it? If it's Ashgocha Protis, what's Ashgocha Protis? You saw this or you heard it. You heard. Why did you hear it? It's not stam. You heard it because you were standing there and you heard it. Or you were there and you saw it. If you saw it or you heard it, and the pshat is Ashgocha Protis. If it's Ashgocha Protis, it's teaching you something. Jeder Indian is Ashgacha Protis, alles kommt von dem Ebersten. This is something that a person engraves in himself through Limud Achsidus. L'chaim shit is Kislev, we have to mechazik ourselves and Limud Achsidus. That with Talmidei Yeshiva, I'm going to tell you like this. Say, I need daite. I don't, American is in Zorba. Bochrim have a shaila, what to learn mechutz l'sdor. What do you learn mechutz l'sdor? You're going to finish Shas, you finish Peskim, you're going to finish all the Amsheichim, you finish the Kutisichis. Mechutz l'seder is the Chla'elam Yilmud Odom and Mokim Shal Libi Chofetz. That's what I think. Where's Libi Chofetz? We are our desires. But you learn every day, you say that at yeshiva, you have 2.5 hours of chassidus. There are an hour of chassidus in the morning, an hour of chassidus in the evening, and you have a half an hour of Tanya. About 25 minutes, almost half. You have 2.5 hours of limud chassidus. You make a achloti with this Kislev, that those 2.5 hours you're partially going to learn properly. You put yourself into it, and you see it's going to change your life. It's going to change your outlook on everything. It's going to make you a happier yid, a happier chosid. It's going to make you avidas Hashem in ganz different. Learn chassidus. Adaita the nafshe. What chassidus is teaching you? What is it telling you? Now remember, I'll tell you something. Everyone knows the Sicha of Ches Nissen. Yeah? The famous Sicha of Ches Nissen, Tovshin and Aleph, right? Everyone knows the Sicha. Every line of that Sicha, you could Farbrengen a whole night. Every line is so much. I want to speak one line. The Rabbi said, I'm continuing to Farbrengen. Why am I continuing to Farbrengen? Because it's a new thought comes, a new svor. What's happening for my Farbrengen? There are those that learn it and remember it. They partially learn it, they're masmidim. But what's happening from it? Nothing. Mashiach is not coming, and they're not really thinking about implementing what I'm telling them. Even the Rebbe should say that in Tov Shin Nun Aleph. That I'm speaking, and yes, you're remembering what I'm saying, but are you taking it seriously? Is it teaching you something? I say the Rebbe gesagt. It's very powerful. You learn Chassidus. It's not just to learn Chassidus. It's learning Chassidus in a way that the Maimer is teaching you, and telling you, and educating you, and elevating you. That's how you have to learn. You know, Talmidei Yeshiva don't know what they have. Talmidei Yeshiva don't know what they have. What do I mean? Take a person that's out there in the world and tell them, listen here, I'm giving you a year. You're not going to have to work for a living. You're not going to have to work to earn money. You're not going to have to pay your mortgage, your utility bills. You're not going to have to go shopping. All you got to do is sit and learn Torah. More than that, you don't have to care. You know what a person of Ilum Hazard would say? Wow! They would just run to it and grab it and sitting and learning. You know, Bocharim have no idea of the pressures of Ilum Hazard. Monetary pressures and other issues. Resisting yeshiva. You gotta cherish it. Ashreinu. Utilize it. It's silent with Achsidus, it's silent with Nigla. Shnei Eir Zalman. That's the name of the Alter Rebbe. Shnei Eir. Shnei Eir is the Eir of Nigla and the Eir of Chassidus. I'll tell you something. Always caught me by the Rebbe. Now, Nigla and Chassidus went together. I was in yeshiva. I had my Rosh yeshiva. So all their whole union was Nigla. And I had the Mashpim, that their union was Chassidus. And when I was growing up, there was no Sholem yet. You have now the Sholem between the Mashpim and yeshivas. When I was growing up, Baruch Hashem wasn't existing. So there's the yeshivas, there was a Mashpim, I don't know the whole sugya. But and there was like two elements. We came to the Rabbis of Farbrengen. Nigla and Chassidus. It's not two things. The same Farbrengen that we got in Nigla. Speaks of the Chassidus. It's Tera Achas. They came together. It could be that's why they became Shalom now between the Shivas and Mashpim. Could be. I'm saying now the Chafshim. Because the Rebbe was Ma'achid, the Nigla and Chassidus, it became no more still. Akulponim, Shnei Eir. This Kislev, you make Halukas Hashaz, so we met Nigla, Mechazik, we met Chassidus. It goes together. L'chaim, Tmimim, Nutz this Zeit. Use out the time, take in, because you know, there's nothing like Girsa the Yankees. There's nothing like what you learn in the young age, you take it in. Chaim is not alle junge Chassidim. I once heard in opinion course, lang gesund und stark, they will schicken für Schleimer. There was a vacation broche, once went by a chassid, it was a very older chassid. The Rebbe, that Farbrengen, the Rebbe sich gekocht, wegen Tziire Agudas Chabad. What does Tziire Agudas Chabad mean? Tziire, young energy. Tziire Agudas Chabad. See, even though he was an older chassid, he said to the Rebbe, I'm a young chassid. I'm a younger chassid. The Rebbe said, the Rebbe gets up in the court. Do anaya achrose. Wir sind alle junge Chassidem. A chassid steht auf, fahrt dort. For all young Chassidem, a chassid gets up by daybreak. You have your opinion with Farbrengen, but you want to aufstehen früh. Stand up early. Young Chassidem, the young energy, and we should put it in l'chaim. Do anaya achrose. So now you can see them. Achos is to do Hator. How's your Hator? I don't know. How's your opinion of Farbrengen? Which is Hator? Er cannot Hator. Hator is camp with you. What's the break with you? Er ist gut Chat, aber Gedenk hat nichts gesagt. One of the main things that the Rabbi always demanded from us is the in of Ahavas Yisrael. And Ahavas Yisrael all the way. And it's known that the Rebbe came back from jail in Petersburg. He wrote a letter. The letter he writes, the Rebbe was concerned. The Rebbe was concerned. What was he concerned? Who caused that he should be arrested? The people, the tattletales of the Alter Rebbe that made it with Malchus, he wanted to do source, promised the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe was afraid that now that he was released, that the Chassidim are going to say, aha, we're going to say you, look, the Alter Rebbe went out. And the Alter Rebbe said, Meine Rach, Meishivchem, you come, don't fight on them. You acted them with the greatest Ahavas Yisrael, the greatest Stilkeit. The Kula, Ulai, the Eberster will make a Maim Apenim Luponim, that they're also going to change towards you. But there is the Indian Ahavas Yisrael, believe who? Loving all the Yid beyond any limitation. Beyond any limitation whatsoever. Ahavas Yisrael. And that's the secret ingredient. The whole Indian of Chassidus is Ahavas Yisrael. Loving another Yid. Putting everything aside for another Yid. As Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, Perek Lamed Beis, how is it possible to have proper Ahavas Yisrael? It's Oisim Nafshem Iker, the Gufim Tzelim. If you realize that the main thing is your neshama, the main thing is your ruchnius, and mitzad the ruchnius, mitzad the neshama v'yid, all the yidden are really one thing. Rakemu acha shlema, all the yidden are one kemo. So one yid is not as steer as another yid. Adarabah, all the yidden together, they make one thing. It's one identity. Mela, you look on the second person, not he's someone different than me. The second person, this is really part of who I am, in essence. That's Ahavas Yisrael and Achdus Yisrael. And the Alter Rebbe writes in the letter Kotenti, that there's two kinds of chesed. Someone does kindness, there's two kinds of kindness. There's chesed Yishmoel and chesed Avram. Chesed Yishmoel is, he wants to feel great. In order to make himself feel great, he's doing kindness. Why is he doing kindness? Not because he really wants to give the other person something, not because he really wants to help the other person, because he wants to be greater. In order to make himself greater, is through helping other people. That's Chesed Yishmo. Then there is Chesed Avro. Avram Avinu said, "Vanechi Offer Ve'efer," and Avram Avinu felt himself like he's nothing. And what was the Chesed of Avram? He gave everything he had for other people. The secret ingredient of Chassidus is Ahavas Yisrael. Ahavas Yisrael. To love other Yidden. This is the way where the Caliph Chassidus. L'chaim, l'chaim. Five. The Rebbe once ordered B'Sholem Nafshi. What was it? Ordered B'Sholem Nafshi. The Rebbe was arrested. Certain people mastered on him. That is, I made it with Malchus. And they wanted to trial him. Because I made it with Malchus. And they interrogated Alter Rebbe. Alter Rebbe answered everything. Reiv Chochmah, Bina. And the Chayyim said Alter Rebbe goes out of prison. You see, you got me. And you see, I convinced them that I'm okay and I'm right and you're wrong. Alter Rebbe wanted to show him nafsh. Alter Rebbe, if you look for a moment, I was thinking today, I was mentioning before, we learned Shir Tanya, the activities of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe had no agenda of his own, of who he is. To publicize himself. He didn't want to publicize the Tanya. You look at the Askomis of Rabbi Zusha Anipol, Rabbi Yehuda Leib, Alter Rebbe wasn't interested in publishing the Tanya. He published the Tanya. He didn't put his name on it. And he said, you have the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. You know that the Rebbe Shulchan Aruch is mamish lahafli, yeah? The Alter Rebbe didn't put in Shulchan Aruch to be printed. He wasn't interested in publishing the Shulchan Aruch. We have what we have. We have people copied it. We have copies. And whatever is not copied, we don't have. You see, the Reva was exclusive the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe went out of the jail. The Alter Rebbe wanted Pod B'Shol in Nafshi. It should be B'Shol. It should be any Machleike. It shouldn't be any Pfeifen. Leilistik Ali and Peh. Verkehrt. To behave towards people that were against the Alter Rebbe. Even of Achnoe, meine Rachmeshiv Chemo. And this is to all the days of Chabad, until the Reinu Zeh, and our day, the Rebbe always, don't argue, don't fight back, don't answer back. No, we're not here to have machlokes. The Lubavitcher Chosid, Lubavitcher Chosid is no machlokes. Podo b'sholem nafshi. You could fight with me, I'm not going to fight with you. Podo b'sholem nafshi. You know that Yisrael is the parliament, the Knesset. And everyone is looking to have a seat. The Litvish Yidden, the Chassidish Yidden, everyone wants a seat. If you have a seat, you're able to get something for yourself. I don't want to speak all protein. Yeah, that's the Satire, Degel Atire, Agudas Yisrael. The Rebbe didn't let Lubavitch get a seat in the parliament. If all Lubavitch Chassidim that Yisrael going to vote, maybe get 1 or 2 seats. I'm not sure how it works. No. Chabad is bilti miflakti. We're not any part of any party. We're not political. Chabad is podo b'sholim nafshi. It's for every Yid, all without any differences. So every single Yid. Podo b'sholim nafshi. Das ist im Rebbe's Chassidim, he said, is Ahavas Yisrael. The Rebbe said, in the Maimer, Bosil Lagani, Tovshin Yudalov. One of the things the Rebbe says in the Maimer, Al Tikra Vayikra El Vayakri. Vayikra V'shom B'Shem Hashem Keleilam. He called over there in the name of Hashem, Keleilam. Al Tikra Vayikra El Vayakri. The Rebbe said, Eim du willst. Es soll der eingehen der Vayikra. You want Vayikra? You want to be able to see this good. You want to be able to see this properly. You want to daven properly. Vayakri. You got to be pale of Hatzvesi. You got to have Ahavas Yisrael. Ahavas Yisrael could mean to a chavrusa, to a roommate, to a Yid HaMivtzoyim, to a Yid you never saw. Yeder Yid. Podo b'shol nafshi. Sometimes a person can think to himself, how could I have such Ahavas Yisrael? I'm not in that darge. Chosid the Rebbe, you have it. Chosid the Rebbe, you get unbelievable amount of keches to go the derech of the Rebbe. L'nai podo b'shol nafshi. Though Neach Kornfeld, I'll tell you a story. The story of my uncle who is here, Elter Mendel Barsel. Say l'chaim. L'chaim. I had a few discussions with him. You know, you ever met him? I had a few discussions with him. And one of the discussions, he told me like this. The Rashag's wife she passed away, she was buried in the other cemetery, not in Montefiore. And the Rebbe wanted very strong that they should move her body to the Montefiore. And the end it was not successful. The Rebbe tried different things. One of the things the Rebbe said to the secretary, speaks to Rabbi Mendel Barfield. He will speak to those people, I don't want to say names, they'll try to do something. He wasn't successful. And the Rebbe wanted to know what's happening. So Zayda said, if the Rebbe wants to know what's happening, I'll go in. I'll tell the Rebbe. So they told that to the Rebbe. So the Rebbe said, let him come in. He came into the Rebbe in the room, and the Rebbe told the Mendel, Zog mir auf Genoi, hit nicht auf mein Covid. Tell me exactly what they're saying. Don't care about my Covid. I want to hear exactly. Then the member is lost. Zog mir Genoi, hit nicht auf mein Covid. And he said to me, when the Rebbe said that he wanted the earth to swallow him, you know what to say? But he had no choice. But it was an example of the Rebbe putting himself aside in a very uncomfortable situation because there was no him. Kotente. That was the derech of the Rabbi, many in Yon. Kotente. Kotente mikol sodim mikol emes. Kotente means what's the kavona, what's montman, that's what it's about. In Mela, there's no room for piru, there's no room for machlekes, avis is so, achtes is so. Alle Yidden zusammen. And we're getting closer to Mashiach, we're getting closer to the union, Nimis Ached, that's the Keli. Achtus Yisrael. And Avis Yisrael, Achdus Yisrael is something that could be practiced in every step. Not only Gom Mitzvah. You know, Rabbi Prustin, when you say that Yim, he said that the Kadach Atzachus. But Be'emes is not Atzachus. The Yim, it says, have Avis Yisrael, even for a year you never saw. You never met. Sometimes, but the year that you never met, it's easier. I never met him. I'm not going to see him again. I love you. You love me. You shaked him. She could steal and get right. It doesn't do with him. Avis Yisrael, Achdus Yisrael. And the only way is, we don't make an agenda for ourselves. Who we want to reach our own. This is the Kavon. Chaim, Chaim. Sidi Chabad. Sidi Chabad. I want to say Adover Aposh. Sidi Chabad is that you understand, you have a accord, you have a realization, you recognize it with your das. What I mean, a lot of times you have certain things that you don't understand. It's not what you understand. It's not what you feel. You're doing it because that's what you're supposed to do. You don't really feel and understand and realize that that's how it really is. But this is how it is. Everyone around you is doing it. You also do it. Or you're carried away with inspiration around you. Chabad is Chochme Bina Das. Chochme Bina Das means that's your accord. That's your accord. This is what you realize. This is what you know. This is what you realize. It's B'daitcho. It's B'daitcho. It's your das. You realize it. It's not someone told you. You hear that influence. You realize that. You realize that's how it is. You know? Everyone can tell you. You can tell yourself. You have certain things you do because you were told to do. Everyone around you is doing it. You have certain things that you do. You realize yourself that this is what you got to do. You realize yourself that that's the emes. You have a hakor. Chabad is saying that you got to be connected to the Eibishter in a way that's your chokhmah bin das. That's what you realize. That's what you recognize. You recognize it. You realize that that's the way to be. And that's what the truth. And that Elokus is the emes. And that's the emes. Was heißt that the Alter Rebbe brought down Chassidus in a way that we all could learn it and chew it over in our mind in a way that this becomes our realization. This becomes our understanding. Someone mentioned to me before, speaking to Bocherim and also younger Bocherim, and you're expecting them to live in Chassidus, to talk in Chassidus. What does that mean? I don't know if I have the answer. But one thing is that no matter what age you are, you learn Chassidus properly. It gives you the realization as a dua neighborster, and that the neighborster is the emes, and the Welt is bottled to the neighborster. And Kula can make loch shivi. And in these inyonim, you learn Chassidus. This is because by you is ames that you realize it, that this is how it is. Not that someone told you, that someone convinced you, but this is what your realization is. What happens with that? You learn a maimer, you learn a sicha. The ultimate is that that's what you realize. You know, I used to teach Chassidus. We used to get very often. People used to tell me, Maimer is very repetitious. I'm learning this Maimer and that Maimer said the same thing. And I don't know if I have the answer. But one thing is, it depends on how you're learning. If you're learning it because it's giving you information, you have information. If you're learning it, that the Maimer is convincing you and showing you the emes, that degree, that this is your realization, this is your recognition, this is your akora. This is taka your akora. This is what you realize already. It's so engraved in you. Hashem Echad. The Pasuk says Hashem Echad, or you're saying Hashem Echad. Is that already your akora v'argosh? Das is shaykh afil zugebachen. I remember, I grew up in Montreal. I was a kid. I got a copy of the first page of Tanya to learn alphabet. I think I still have it. The first page of Tanya, up like 4 or 5 times, 6 times the size. You learn alphabet in Tanya. You're learning alphabet in Pnimius HaTorah. Wherever darker you are, you take Pnimius HaTorah according to your level, and this will become Dein Akor, Dein Akor, Dein Avon, Dein Argosh. This is you, what you realize. Not that someone else told you and you're convinced. It's Dein Akor, it's your Akor, it's your realization, it's Chabad. That's time. You have a lot of avenues of Chassidus. It's also be the Abel Shem. But Chabad is gotta be your akor of argosh. It gotta be your realization. It gotta be your understanding. And that's forever. That doesn't make a difference how old you are. Whatever you're learning, you make sure that you talk understanding. Speaking to you, getting it. You didn't get it the first time, chazer over. Second time, third time, again, till it gets absorbed in you. That's also part of the B'Sholem. What's part of the B'Sholem? There's a nefesh l'kis, as a nefesh b'hamis. The mulchome between the nefesh l'kis and the nefesh b'hamis. Part of the B'Sholem nefesh. And the nefesh b'hamis are also in the Kelm nefesh. L'chaim. Chaim. Kislev, dat is ook nog Chaim. Dat is ook nog Chaim. Zeggen ze ze. Sometimes it's still Chaim. What happens is, your ruchnistic chelev, your ruchnistic part, is really going higher. What's happening with your gashmistic part? Your ruchnistic part go higher, and your gashmistic part didn't change, didn't affect. The Rabbi gave a moshul. You have a train. And in the front, the train has a bunch of wagons. In front of the train has a motor. The motor goes and there's a steam and the water and the smoke. If you don't attach the motor from the front train to all the other wagons, it's a 5, it's a grid, it's a macht areich, and the front is moving, and the other wagons are not going. This is the chelik ruchni, that's the big elevator. But what's happening about our whole self, our whole being, all our keiches, all our taivas, and all our machshavah dibur ma'aseh, what's happening with that? You say l'chaim, Kislev is still l'chaim. Kislev is still l'chaim. But you say l'chaim in a way that not only your ruchnis is getting higher, you gotta make sure that you're pulling your goal, your whole self. You know, I'll tell you a story. The story happened in the basement of Yeshiva Seir Eliyahu. We were in one of the classrooms, and we were in Farbrengen. Probably the last year that I had a kid at the Farbrengen. In Farbrengen, in Mitte Farbrengen, we suchen an ihm. And everyone got involved in the got so involved, but Emsa Farbrengen, the window was open. The Agana was reingesteckt the hand and took a jacket. Started running. Until the Bocher was gehaft. Was that tut sich? So they ran out. I don't know if they caught it or not. They're making the end of my nice. But sie gewann auf Farbrengen, sie rein in the Farbrengen. It's not just a nice Farbrengen, it's rein in the Farbrengen. As the guy that you can't nemen a jacket, and it took up some moment. Das heißt, as das Kislev is the Pshat, we get den ganzen rein. It's not just my Ruchnis, sag, ich sag den ganzen rein. As we will sich beiten, we should change yourself so. To become that we gotta be changed over. What do I mean? I mean in simple words, I mean like this. First will say, I am who I am. I'm the same. I'm going to sit by a Siddur Chassidus, and I sit by Farbrengen. But you should know, I am who I am. It's not changing. Chalil. I am who I am. The person makes such a achlot, what happens? It's alles dieselbe Sache. He's sitting by Farbrengen, he's sitting by Siddur Chassidus, but he was already machlit as linoga v'lipoga. Who is he? Who are you? Who are I am. My spirit tell you I am. I know I am. Whatever you tell me, it's not going to change me. It's not going to affect me. I am. Who are you? Ayeko, wer bist du? I am. You're ready to change. You're ready to mach sich über. You got to be ready to become a different person, to become a different person. You got to be ready to become a different person. Jesus is Mishal and the Mahus. Jesus changes who you are. You shouldn't be the same. Jesus changes, you shouldn't be the same. Yeah. You shouldn't be the same. Not the shot. You come into the Rebbe's yeshiva. I am before I came in. I'm going through and look, it's interesting. It's very nice. I'm going to see different things. I'll watch different things. I'll learn different things. And then, who I am. Doesn't work that way. Both of Shalom Nafshi, as you got to change you. You got to raise and change. You're ready to become a different person. As a chosid, you always have to be ready to change who you are. You always have to be ready to give away everything. You got to be ready to give away your whole past. You say, whatever I did till now is wrong. You know what? It has to be different. Wie steht da im Jem? And the Rebbe Rashab came into the Tzemach Tzedek and givei vayerel vavaya. The Hashem shows himself to Avraham Avinu. Why doesn't he show himself to me? What is the answer? Yira Tzaddik, the 99 years old, decides he has to be mal himself. It's worth it that Hashem should show himself to him. What does that mean? 99 years old, is Avraham Avinu. Yeher Latutzach, Avraham Avinu. It's never Shulukuz. Avraham Avinu. I don't have to speak Avraham Avinu. Okay, Avraham. Recover, Midas HaChesed. 99 years old. You gotta make a bris. You gotta change yourself. I have an orla. I gotta change the orla. You ready to change the orla? You take it away. He's ready to change himself. He's ready to say that there is an orla master. 99 secure. That means that no matter, we gotta be ready to, whenever we come to realization, in Asicha, in the Farbrengen, you come to realization, I have an orla. There's something blocking, there's something not, and I want to change it. I'm ready to change it. You ready to change it? Then the tzitz is kissed. L'chaim. Zog l'chaim. Ich zog l'chaim, das ist zog l'chaim. Whatever you said, it's l'chaim. It's not okay, but
gesagt, weil das sagen wir in Videos. habe gesagt, dass wir belieben sind. Kein Video, kein Video, What?